Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up this screen. All right, folks, we're going to go over the SEC win totals for 2023 that's been estimated by DRAFTKINGS. It's an over-under. We're going to look at all the SEC clubs. All right, and before everybody jumps me, I'm in another studio, and I forgot to bring a UT shirt, which is very rare for me, as you know. So I'm sure in the comments section you'll be coming over the top rope on me about it. And I would be having to wear purple, which I guess that's LSU colors. Anyway, these things happen.
Pardon me, Mr. Perfect! I guess I forgot that you never ever make a mistake!
All right, let's see what DraftKings thinks about all the SEC schools and their win total predictions for 2023. And let's start out with Auburn. They've got them at 6.5 wins. And pretty interesting. It says Hugh Freeze didn't inherit a team with a ton from the previous regime, especially on the offensive line. But Peyton Thorne, which came out of Michigan State, he just transferred, said he's an important gain and should be an immediate upgrade for an offense that needs to get aggressive. They've got another quarterback there as well that they've been working with. I think his name's Robbie. I can't remember it, but he's a decent quarterback, but Peyton will probably start. Texas A&M with our boy Jimbo Fisher. We'll see how that goes. They've got them at 7.5 wins. I certainly hope one of those is not against the Vols. It says Bobby Petrino is charged with getting the most out of an offense stacked with real potential but unable to show it so far, and they are loaded with talent. It says you get the feeling that if it doesn't work this time, they may have to make a decision about Jimbo Fisher, and they'll probably let him go, and they'll owe him, $80 million after this year. South Carolina, they got them at 6.5 wins. That's got to frustrate the crap out of the Carolina fans. It says fresh off statement wins against Tennessee and Clemson to close out and standout recruiting class. Shane Beamer also returned Spencer Rattler. That's not a lot of wins. Of course, they've got a tough schedule. I mean, everybody does in the SEC. Vanderbilt, 3.5 wins. Whoopity-doo. It says Clark Lee comes into year 3. Who cares? They're not going to win anything. Ole Miss. This will be interesting. Judkins, the running back for Ole Miss, and old Lane Kiffin says will lead one of the nation's premier rushing attacks. Dang it, I got to give Lane Kiffin a little bit of credit. It's not all passing. Look, if he's got the talent to run and that's what he needs to do, he'll run. He'll do what his players can do, which frustrates me because that tells me he's willing to adjust. Of course, don't forget his fainting goats defensive strategy to stop the Vols or any other team that goes fast. That boy doesn't play by the rules. Just doesn't. And they've got the QB competition between Jackson Dart and Spencer Sanders. I'd say Dart will probably start. Missouri, 6.5 wins. That's a pretty decent number for them. Dominic Lovett leaving is tough, but the Tigers still have a 5-star and a couple of transfer guys. And they've got Miami transfer quarterback Jake Garcia who'll be competing with Brady Cook. Here comes our Tennessee Vols. They've got us at 9.5 wins. It says a ton of college football's number 1 ranked offense is gone, as is its coordinator, but Josh Heupel has enough personnel to keep the Vols in the SEC East title hunt, especially in the form of Joe Milton, who, if he can combine his power with accuracy, can keep the Big Orange in the picture. If Joe plays well, we'll easily win 9-10 games. That won't be a problem. It's really up to how he plays. Now, look, we've got a 5-star right behind him that's going to be probably a lot closer to ready to go in a few months. So we'll see how this all plays out. I hope Joe keeps the job the whole year because that means he's playing well. So 9.5 games, that's kind of reasonable. I think I'm going to do a prediction on our season coming up, but I'll do a whole thing. I'll go through every game, but I'm not ready to do that just yet. Mississippi State, they've got a new coach there, new offensive coordinator. We talked about that yesterday. Mike Leach passed away, as we know, and he won't be the coach there. So they're going to be kind of starting fresh and a new offense. So we'll see how that all plays out. That's a decent number. If they win, 7 games, they'll have done well. LSU, 9.5 wins. A ton comes back to Brian Kelly. I think they've got LSU in the same boat with Tennessee. That's probably about right. Brian Kelly's got plenty of talent down there. He's got a good QB in Jaden Daniels. 9.5 is probably right for them. Kentucky, 6.5 wins. That would be disappointing for Kentucky if they go with 6 wins or 7. Now, it's Kentucky, but still, they've been winning 9 and 10 games every year up until last year. So we'll see how it plays out. They do have Devin Larry, which was a great pickup for them out of NC State, a very good quarterback. We'll see how he does in the SEC. Georgia, 11.5 wins. That's no shocker. We'll see how their new quarterback does. And remember, they do not have Todd Monken. And Todd Monken's a heck of an offensive coordinator, probably the best one they've ever had. And now they got Mike Bobo, who's okay. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. They got to come to Knoxville, got to play in Neyland. I think we got a good shot at taking them down. We'll see. It's going to be tough because they're loaded with 5 stars, and Kirby's a really good defensive-minded coach, but we'll see what they do. They do have a 5-star quarterback, but you know what? He couldn't beat out Stetson Bennett for 2 years, so we'll see what they've got offensively. And I'm sure the crowd might be a little fired up when they show up. Florida, 5.5 wins. I'm going to tell you what, if they get 5 or 6 wins, I don't know that Billy Napier survives that. I think that would be very difficult. It says they have serious concerns at quarterback with Graham Cracker Mertz, the current number 1 option after a so-so career at Wisconsin. He throws a ton of interceptions. Arkansas, they've got it 7.5 wins. KJ Jefferson's SEC best returning quarterback. And this run game should perform well. But the Hogs also lost both their coordinators. Jeez, I didn't even realize that. So that's tough. Alabama, 10.5 wins. So there's a lot of talent, but not a ton of experience for the Crimson Tide, and they have serious quarterback problems. They brought in the backup at Notre Dame, who's got more interceptions than touchdowns, Tyler Buckner. He's talented, and he's a tricky quarterback, but I don't know. It's going to be the worst quarterback situation they've had in probably 10 years. So there's all your teams. Tennessee at 9.5. That's reasonable. And these people do this for a living, so those numbers really matter to them. So I think, basically they've got us tied for third. They got Georgia number 1 at 11.5. They got Alabama number 2 at 10.5, and they've got us and LSU tied for third at 9.5. I think that's fair and reasonable, really, under the circumstances. Look, if we had Hendon Hooker, I think we'd probably be tied for second with Alabama at 10.5. We'll see how it plays out. We still have to play Alabama and Georgia the same year, which nobody else has to do that except Auburn. But we took Alabama down last year. If we could take Georgia down this year, that would be awesome. Jack the Giant Killer. All right, folks, just thought it'd be fun to go over all the teams and what DraftKings thinks. And like I said, these are pros. This is what they do for a living. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols. And next time I'll have I don't know. It depends on if I do another show in this studio. But anyway, if you've not subscribed, it's right here on your right, my left. I got it right this time. And it takes you 1 second. You will not burn a calorie. Just hit the little button. Just boop, and you're done. And it makes it so easy for you to get my videos. And right over here is a video that YouTube thinks you will love because of an algorithm. And they're probably right. Anyway, I hope you did like the content. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.